I was 13 the summer Mr. Hellwig moved into the corner house. The heat clung to everything like wet cloth, and the cicadas screamed from the trees like they were trying to peel the sky open. Most days I rode my bike aimlessly through the neighborhood, wasting time until dinner. Nothing ever really happened on our street. Until he came. The house he moved into had been empty for nearly 2 years. The Wexlers used to live there, an old couple who smelled like canned pears and had a porcelain cat in every window. When they passed, the place just sat. Weeds choked the garden. Paint peeled off the siding. One shutter fell off completely and lay half buried in the front yard like a forgotten grave marker. Then, one morning in June, there was a car in the driveway. A long black sedan with dust on the windshield and no plates. No moving van. No sign of anyone unloading boxes. Just the car, parked at an angle, like someone drove up and forgot what they were doing. I saw him that same evening. He was standing in the front window. Perfectly still. Hands folded in front of him. Wearing a pale gray suit, too stiff and clean for the season. His skin was papery white, the sort of white that looks almost blue in the wrong light. And he was wearing mirrored sunglasses, even though the sun was nearly gone. He didn't move when I passed on my bike. Didn't blink. I glanced away and when I looked back, he was gone. At dinner I asked my dad if he'd seen the new neighbor. He grunted something about city folks and told me not to go bothering him. Let him settle in. Not everyone wants to be part of the neighborhood watch, he said, half laughing into his mashed potatoes. But I wasn't the only one who noticed him. Mrs. Paley next door said she saw him outside at 3 a.m., just standing on the lawn, staring straight up at the moon. Old Mr. Harmon, the mailman, told my mom that Hellwig never came to the door for deliveries, just left the mailbox open, wide enough to see the back of the house through it. And Sarah, my best friend back then, swore she saw him in 3 different windows at once. We started calling it the unblinking house. Not to his face, of course. No one ever spoke to him. Not once. And after a while, you didn't want to. Not even as a joke. Something about the way that house looked at you when you passed, because that's what it felt like. It was looking. Watching. Not the man inside. The house. And worse yet, sometimes, late at night, I'd wake up to find my bedroom window full of moonlight, and for a split second, I'd swear I saw him, just the faintest reflection in the glass. Not outside. Inside. It was Sarah who dared me. She always had that kind of fire in her, sharp-tongued and fearless, the sort of girl who climbed trees in a dress and threw rocks at crows for looking at her wrong. We were thick as thieves that summer, sharing secrets, popsicles, and the creeping obsession we had with Mr. Hellwig's house. I swear on my mom's grave, she said one day, crouched behind the hydrangeas in my front yard, he was in 3 windows at once. Front room, hallway, and upstairs left. All of him. Same suit. Same face. Watching. I wanted to believe her. Part of me already did. But I needed to see it myself. That's how these things work. Horror's always secondhand until it looks you straight in the eye. So we made a plan. Friday night. Wait until the streetlights buzzed on and the town went quiet, when you could hear the creek down by the woods gurgling like something alive. Sarah brought binoculars. I brought a flashlight and a bag of sour worms. We settled in at the edge of my yard, behind the lilacs, directly across from the unblinking house. At first, nothing. The house sat there like it always did. Still. Dim, hollow. No cars. No lights. Just windows, bare and open, as if waiting. Then the front room flickered. A soft glow, like candlelight. No movement. Just light. A few minutes later, the hallway light clicked on. That one was colder, whiter. We both leaned forward, breath fogging the lenses of her binoculars. He's in the hall, she whispered. I took the binoculars and froze. There he was. Mr. Hellwig stood motionless in the middle of the hallway, hands folded, head tilted ever so slightly. His mirrored sunglasses caught the light like polished coins. Then the upstairs window blinked on. I lowered the binoculars to check if maybe it was a reflection, some trick of angles or glass, but no. He was there, too. Same posture. Same suit. Same stillness. Watching from above. 3 windows. 3 identical figures. None of them moving. That was the first time I felt it, the pressure. Like something unseen was pushing back from the glass, peering through us, not at us. The house no longer felt empty. It felt crowded. I remember Sarah whispering, "That's not possible," over and over. We ran. No words, no plan. Just fled through the dark like foxes through the briar. But when I got back to my room and shut the door, I noticed something I hadn't before. My closet mirror, it faced the bed just slightly. It was faint, but in the reflection. There was a man in a pale gray suit. And he was smiling. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I kept the lights on, the blanket pulled up to my chin like a charm. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the trees outside, felt like a breath just behind my ear. But worst of all was the mirror. The closet door was slightly ajar, its mirror angled just enough to show a sliver of the bed. A sliver of me. And, I swear, just for a heartbeat, I saw someone else there too. Right behind me. Pale gray and grinning. When morning finally broke, I shut the closet and covered the mirror with an old bedsheet. I told myself it was just nerves. A trick of the eye. But that didn't explain what Sarah said the next day. I saw it too, she told me. Her voice was different, quieter. Like it hurt to speak. When I got home last night, my bathroom mirror was all fogged up. I hadn't even showered. But someone had written something in the steam. I asked her what it said. She hesitated, then scribbled the words on a gum wrapper and handed it to me. "You're in the house already." I didn't know what to say. I didn't even believe in ghosts back then, not really. But there was something about those words, scrawled in greasy, broken loops, that made my skin go cold. It felt less like a threat and more like a fact. A terrible fact I didn't understand. The next few days blurred. I avoided my room at night. Ate dinner fast, made excuses to sleep on the couch. Sarah stopped coming around. She said she was dealing with stuff. She wouldn't say what. Then, on a gray Tuesday morning, the school bus broke down, and I had to walk home alone. Rain had started to fall, light, but steady. The sky looked bruised, like something above us had been punched. As I passed Mr. Hellwig's house, I did something stupid. I looked. The windows were all fogged, but the hallway light was on again. Just a single, narrow glow. And in the fogged pane of the front room, I saw a face. Not Mr. Hellwig's this time. Mine. But wrong. My reflection was smiling, wide and sharp, though I was not. And behind my smiling self stood Hellwig, his face blurry, but unmistakable. Then the reflection lifted its hand and waved at me. I turned and ran until my lungs burned. That night, I dreamed of glass corridors and endless windows. Behind each one, a version of myself. Crying. Screaming. Silent. And at the end of the hall, standing in the final doorway, was Mr. Hellwig. "You let it in," he said. And when I woke, the sheet was off the mirror. After that night, I started seeing the reflections everywhere. Not just in mirrors, windows, spoons, the blank black screen of the old TV in the den. I'd catch glimpses of myself, but not myself. Not as I was. I'd be frowning when I was smiling. Or standing when I knew I was sitting. Or looking directly at Mr. Hellwig when I knew I was alone. It was like my reflection had its own life now. And it knew I was watching. I stopped brushing my teeth in front of the mirror. Got dressed in the dark. Avoided looking into any surface that might hold me. Sarah wouldn't answer her phone anymore. I went to her house, but her mom said she was resting and that she hadn't spoken in 2 days. When I asked what happened, her mom just closed the door. So I went to the library. I don't know what I was looking for. Answers, maybe. Logic. But instead, I found something older. Tucked deep in the local history section, there was a slim gray book with no title on the spine. Inside were stories, old ones, about this town, this land. And in one of them, there was a passage I'll never forget. A house built on a mirror will see twice as many souls. One for the living. One for the taken. There was a sketch next to the text. Crude and faded, but unmistakable, a house with empty windows, and faint, pale figures staring out. All wearing the same face. I slammed the book shut. My skin felt prickled with ice. My reflection in the polished wood table smiled up at me, just a heartbeat too slow to follow my movements. That night, I dreamed again. This time, I was inside Mr. Hellwig's house. The hallway stretched on forever, each wall lined with mirrors. No doors. Just reflections, countless versions of myself behind the glass, all watching, all unmoving. At the far end of the corridor stood a tall figure in gray. He reached up and removed his sunglasses. His eyes were empty. Not black, not blind, empty. Like holes in paper. I tried to scream, but my voice echoed back from the walls in 100 voices. None of them were mine. When I awoke, I was standing in front of my closet mirror. I don't remember getting out of bed. The next night, I couldn't take it anymore. The dreams, the reflections, Sarah going silent, something was happening, and it all pointed to that house. Mr. Hellwig's house. The unblinking house. I knew I was being pulled toward it. Like a thread snagged in a thorn bush, tugged little by little every day. I tried to fight it. I told myself it was just a kid's imagination running wild. But some part of me, deep down, knew I had to go inside. So I did. It was just after midnight. I crept out of my window, flashlight tucked under my hoodie, feet crunching lightly on damp grass. No cars on the street. No wind. Just silence, like the world was holding its breath. The house looked the same as always. Dim, waiting. But the front door was open. Just a crack. I remember standing there for a long moment, staring at that sliver of blackness. I expected a chill to wash over me, some last warning from the gut, but there was only a strange warmth. Not comforting, cloying. Like breath from a mouth too close. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. It was quiet. Dusty. Not empty. There was furniture, yes, but wrong somehow. Everything was symmetrical. 2 armchairs facing each other. 2 lamps on either side of the couch. 2 rugs layered neatly on top of one another. Even the wallpaper was mirrored, splitting in the center like a spine. And everywhere, mirrors. Every wall, every hallway, even the ceilings bore them. Old, warped things. Some with gilded frames, some cracked like dried mud. And in each one, I saw myself, or what looked like me, but not moving with me. Not quite. Some stood still. Some turned away. One raised its hand and pressed it to the glass. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, soft, deliberate. From the second floor. Mr. Hellwig. I called out, instantly regretting it. My voice sounded small in that place, tinny, like it had already been recorded and played back. No answer. Just another step. Then another. I should have run. Any sane person would have run. But instead, I started climbing the stairs. Each step creaked like it hadn't been touched in years. Halfway up, I turned and glanced at a mirror hung on the stairwell wall. I froze. In the mirror, the hallway below me was empty. I wasn't there. The stairs behind me showed nothing at all. Just blackness. Then, from above, I heard a voice. Calm. Close. You're almost through. The voice from upstairs had no echo. It just was, like it had always been there, waiting for me to notice. You're almost through. I stood on the stairwell, one foot suspended mid-step, heart pounding like a fist on glass. The flashlight flickered once, then steadied. I didn't call back. I didn't dare. I climbed the rest of the stairs in silence. The upper hallway was narrow, too narrow for the space I'd seen from outside. The angles felt wrong, the corners pinched, as if the house had been folded. There were doors on either side, 6 in total, each closed, each with a cloudy mirror nailed directly to its surface. None of the mirrors showed me. Not one. I should have gone back. I should have turned and fled, and maybe, I would have been able to leave. But I walked forward, past the doors, until I reached the last one at the end of the hall. It was open. Inside, the room was small and spare, a single chair facing a vanity with a large, cracked mirror. Dust hovered in the air like ash. There was no one sitting, but the reflection showed Mr. Hellwig, neatly dressed, still as death, sunglasses off. His eyes were like murky water, pupils floating loose in the socket. And he was smiling. "Sit," the reflection said, though no sound reached my ears. I didn't want to. My legs did it anyway. I moved like a puppet, dropped into the chair, and stared into the mirror. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Just me, blank-faced and pale with fear. Then, behind me, in the mirror only, a dozen other faces appeared. Each one was me. Older. Younger. One with a nosebleed. One with stitched lips. One with eyes scratched out. All of them standing behind my chair, silent and watching. I spun around. The room was empty. But the mirror showed otherwise. Mr. Hellwig's reflection leaned in. His skin flickered like a warped VHS. And then he spoke, directly into my mind, not my ears. "Every mirror is a window. And every window is a door. You looked too long." The glass shuddered. My reflection smiled, and then stepped away from the chair. Without me. I remained seated in the mirror, frozen. Trapped. My body, my real body, was still in the chair, I think. But the thing that rose and turned, that walked out of the room in my place, wasn't me anymore. And as it passed the mirror, Mr. Hellwig stood beside it. He put the sunglasses back on. It took me some time to understand. Time moves differently when you're behind the glass. It's not hours or days, it's reflections. Moments. Flickers. Each one a window, and I'm always looking out through someone else's eyes. Always watching. But I remember the first time I saw my body, the thing in my body, after it left the house. It waved to my mother. She was raking leaves by the hydrangeas, humming the same tune she always did in the fall, something soft and sad. The creature walked up the driveway and called to her with my voice, and she smiled. She didn't see the way its hands flexed wrong. She didn't see how its smile lasted too long, how it didn't blink once during the conversation. But I did. I saw everything. That's the curse of the mirror, you always see what others can't. It slept in my bed. Ate my food. Walked my halls. And every time it passed a mirror, I caught a glimpse of it. And it caught a glimpse of me. And each time, it smiled just a little wider. As if it was enjoying the illusion. Perfecting it. Sarah noticed something was wrong first. She came over 3 days after the switch. Knocked on the door. The thing wearing my skin answered, friendly as ever. She asked it something small. I don't remember what. But its answer made her go pale. Because it called her by the wrong name. She was quiet after that. Went home. But that night, she came back. I saw her through the upstairs window. She had a flashlight, a crowbar, and her backpack slung over her shoulder. She crept toward my window and tapped it twice. The thing was downstairs. She was trying to get me out. She pried open the frame and stepped into my room. I watched it all from the vanity mirror, helpless, a ghost pressed against the glass. "Are you in there?" she whispered. My reflection moved behind her. I tried to scream. I think I did. She turned toward the mirror, eyes wide, staring into mine. "I see you," she said. "I see why." And then the door creaked. The creature had returned. My body, but not my soul. It stood in the doorway, head tilted, smiling that too wide smile. "Hello, Sarah," it said. But this time, it got the name right. Sarah didn't run. She stood her ground, crowbar in hand, heart pounding so loud I could see it in her throat through the reflection. The thing wearing my face leaned against the doorframe, arms loose, casual, too casual. Like it didn't just walk in on someone crawling through a bedroom window. She said my name, my real name. "Are you in there?" she asked, loud enough for it to hear. The creature didn't even flinch. I'm here, it said. My voice, my posture. Perfect. But something was missing. The human things, hesitation, warmth, blinking, it didn't have them. It stood too still. Smiled too wide. Eyes too dry. Sarah didn't answer it. Instead, she turned toward the mirror, the one I was trapped in, and whispered, "Tell me what to do." Oh, how I tried. I pushed against the glass. Pressed my hands flat against its cold skin. But I couldn't speak. I could only watch. The reflection shimmered with static, like a bad channel between worlds. The creature took a step into the room. "Why are you here, Sarah?" it asked. "Is something wrong?" She gripped the crowbar tighter and said, "You're not him." It smiled wider. "No," it said. "But I wear him better than he ever did." It lunged. The fight was fast, brutal. It moved like water, all limbs and wrongness. But Sarah, God bless her fire, swung the crowbar and caught it across the jaw. Bone cracked. It shrieked, not in pain, but offense, like a mirror being shattered. It staggered back, and she turned to the vanity. With a wild cry, she brought the crowbar down on the glass. The mirror cracked, but didn't break. Instead, it opened. Like a film peeling back. Like skin unzipping. Light poured from the wound in the glass, and I felt the pull. A suction. A chance. Sarah reached in, through the mirror. Her hand passed into my world. "Take it," she gasped. "Now." And I did. My fingers met hers and the mirror split with a sound like thunder cracking underwater. For a second, I felt myself moving, falling upward, rising downward, through layers of glass and breath and bone. And then I was back. In my body. I could feel the bruises. The ache in my ribs. The weight of the room. Sarah was there, blinking at me. "Is it you?" she whispered. I nodded, mouth too dry to speak. But the joy didn't last. Because the mirror behind us hadn't closed. And from its fractured depths, something else was crawling through. It was not Mr. Hellwig that crawled from the mirror. It was what had worn him. Sarah and I backed into the corner as the thing emerged, slowly, dragging itself inch by inch from the fractured glass, as if birth into this world pained it. Its limbs were too long, too many joints bending the wrong way, like someone built a man from memory but got the measurements wrong. No face. No eyes. Just skin stretched smooth over a head that twitched when it breathed. And oh, how it breathed, wet, wheezing, as though every gasp tasted the air for the first time. I wanted to run. Every cell in me screamed to flee. But we couldn't leave, not yet. We had to finish it. "We have to break the house," Sarah said, voice shaking. "It's a cage. A mirror box. It feeds it." I didn't understand, not really. But I believed her. We ran. Down the stairs, through the hallway of twins and mirrors, past the doorways that no longer had rooms behind them, just empty dark like mouths. The air was thick, humming like a dying radio signal. The house was changing. Rooms didn't lead where they should. Windows showed scenes from other times, snow in July, a funeral we never attended, Sarah standing alone in a burning field. I saw myself, older, blood on my hands. I saw Mr. Hellwig as a child, weeping into a mirror as something watched from the other side. The thing followed. Not running, gliding. Mirrors shattered as it passed, but its reflection was never inside them. Only ours. We made it to the living room. At the center of it stood an old mirror, the largest yet. Floor to ceiling, framed in blackened wood, pulsing faintly like a heart. I could feel it calling. Not to me, to it. The source. Sarah didn't hesitate. She charged forward with the crowbar. "Now," she shouted. I followed, grabbed an iron lamp from the floor, and swung with everything I had. Glass exploded around us, the sound sharp and high like a scream through steel pipes. Light burst from the frame, blinding, white, endless. And in that flash, I saw the truth. Mr. Hellwig wasn't the first. There had been others. Are others. People who stared too long. Who got switched. Who still wave from reflections that aren't theirs. The thing we let in wasn't one. It was many. A hive in glass. And now the mirror was breaking. The house began to collapse, not with fire or stone, but with silence. Each room winked out like a snuffed candle. The walls went paper thin, then vanished. And just before the world went white, I saw Mr. Hellwig once more. Standing calmly. Smiling faintly. Free. I woke in the grass. The house was gone. No ruins, no ash. Just an empty lot, smooth and green, like nothing had ever stood there. Even the driveway was gone, just wildflowers, small and white, swaying gently in the breeze. Sarah lay beside me, breathing, eyes wide open but unfocused, as if her soul was still catching up. We didn't speak right away. There was too much to say, and none of it made sense. Not then. Neighbors gathered eventually. Police came. They asked questions, many questions, but there was nothing left to show them. No house, no man named Hellwig, no proof. Just us. We told them what they wanted to hear. A prank. A dare. We broke into an old place, thought we saw something strange, ran. They chalked it up to kids and fear and imagination. Let us go home. But things didn't go back to normal. Not really. Some nights I still wake up with that tight, sick feeling in my chest, the sense of being watched from behind my own eyes. I walk past windows and flinch when I see myself. I don't own mirrors anymore. I covered them all. Even reflections in puddles make my breath catch. And Sarah, she left. Her family moved 2 towns over. We kept in touch for a while, but the messages got fewer, then stopped. The last thing she sent me was a photo. It was of a store window. Just a reflection. Her standing there. And behind her, barely visible, was a man in a gray suit. Sunglasses on. Smiling. I never wrote back. Now I live quietly. No mirrors, no reflections. I draw my curtains before the sun sets. I never answer knocks after dark. And when I walk past polished surfaces, I never, ever look too long. Because I know now what the house was. It wasn't haunted. It was the haunting. A vessel. A door. A passage between this world and something older, patient, and hungry. Something that watches from behind the glass and waits for someone to notice. Someone curious. Someone like me. And I wonder, sometimes, if I really did escape. Because on very still nights, when the wind dies and the dark is deep, I see him again. Mr. Hellwig. Standing just beyond the edge of my reflection. Not moving. Not blinking. Just waiting for the glass to open once more.